Imagine this for a moment. You're doing everything you were told is healthy. You're eating more protein, you've cut sugar, you're avoiding junk food, and yet your digestion feels heavier, your energy is lower, your belly fat won't move, your cholesterol numbers quietly creep up, and your blood markers don't look the way they should. Here's the uncomfortable truth most people never hear. Some of the proteins you were told to eat for health are slowly working against your body, and the damaged dose T show up overnight. It builds silently, year after year, until one day your doctor says, "We should keep an eye on this." If you're over 25, overworked, stressed, or trying to lose fat, this matters more than you think. Protein itself is not the enemy. Your body absolutely needs it to repair muscles, hormones, enzymes, even your immune system. But the source, the processing, and the way modern food companies package protein has changed how your body responds to it. What once nourished us can now inflame us. Let's start with the first protein most people never suspect. Think about processed deli meats, chicken slices, turkey slices, beef, salami, sausages, hot dogs, often marketed as high protein, low carb, and fitness friendly. On paper, they look perfect. In reality, they trigger a chain reaction inside the body that keeps fat locked in place. These proteins are aggressively processed. During that processing, proteins are altered by heat, preservatives, and chemicals. Your body no longer recognizes them as natural building blocks. Instead, your immune system treats them like a mild threat. That creates low-grade inflammation, not enough to make you feel sick today, but enough to interfere with insulin, digestion, and fat metabolism every single day. Inflammation tells your body one thing: store energy, don't burn it. This is why people who rely on deli meats often feel bloated, sluggish, and hungry again shortly after eating. The protein didn't fail you, the form did. Now let's talk about something even more controversial: protein bars and protein shakes. These products dominate gym culture. They promise muscle, fat loss, convenience, and clean nutrition. But most of them are engineered foods, not nourishment. The protein inside them is often isolated, stripped, chemically extracted, and then recombined with sweeteners, gums, seed oils, and artificial flavors. Your digestive system evolved to break down real food slowly. When you drink ultra-processed protein, it hits your bloodstream too fast. That sudden spike forces insulin to rise, stress hormones to activate, and digestion to slow later in the day to compensate. This is why so many people feel anxious, jittery, or exhausted after healthy protein shakes, especially if they reconsumed in the morning or on an empty stomach. Over time, this pattern teaches your body to associate protein with stress, not repair. And stressed bodies do not burn fat. They protect it. The third protein is one people defend aggressively because it's cultural, emotional, and deeply ingrained. Conventional dairy protein, milk, cheese, flavored yogurt, and low-fat dairy are often pushed as essential protein sources. but for a large portion of adults, dairy proteins like casein and whey are inflammatory, even if you don't notice obvious symptoms. Here's what happens quietly. Dairy proteins can increase mucus production, gut permeability, and insulin release. This combination disrupts gut bacteria, increases cravings, and worsens water retention and belly fat, especially in women. Many people mistake this reaction for slow metabolism or aging. In reality, the body is constantly dealing with a food it doesn't fully tolerate anymore. And here's the tricky part. Removing dairy often doesn't cause instant relief. The inflammation fades slowly. That's why people give up too early and assume dairy wasn't the issue. Now, let us pause here, because the next protein is one almost everyone eats, thinking they're being disciplined and smart. And this one has a direct link to hormone disruption, stubborn fat, and long-term metabolic slowdown. The next protein sounds innocent. It's cheap, filling, and often recommended for weight loss because it's lean. I'm talking about fried and overcooked chicken, especially chicken breasts cooked at very high heat. Chicken itself is not the problem. The issue is how modern chicken is raised and cooked. Most commercially available chicken today is raised fast-fed unnatural diets and exposed to antibiotics and stress hormones. That already changes the protein structure before it ever reaches your plate. But when you cook it at very high temperatures, frying, grilling until dry, or air frying until hard, something else happens. The protein becomes denatured and oxidized. Your body now has to work harder to digest it. That extra effort raises cortisol, your stress hormone, and cortisol has one job when it rises too often: protect fat, especially around the belly. This is why people who eat chicken daily but feel constantly tired, inflamed, or stuck at the same weight aren't imagining it. The protein is technically lean, but the stress response cancels the benefit. Now let's move to a protein people believe is the gold standard: egg whites. For years, egg whites have been sold as the purest protein. No fat, no cholesterol, just clean muscle-building fuel. But here's what rarely gets explained. When you remove the yolk, you remove almost all the nutrients that help your body use the protein. The yolk contains choline, fat-soluble vitamins, and compounds that reduce inflammation and support the liver. Egg white protein alone is harder to digest and can increase gut irritation in many people. Over time, this irritation leads to bloating, nutrient malabsorption, and again elevated cortisol. Your body doesn't want naked protein. It wants protein packaged with natural fats and micronutrients. This is why people who eat only egg whites often feel hungry again quickly, crave sugar later, and struggle with energy crashes. Now, let's talk about one that surprises almost everyone: plant-based processed protein, especially soy isolates and fake meat products. These are marketed as heart-healthy, clean, and ethical. But many of these proteins are heavily processed, stripped of fiber, and concentrated in ways the human body did not evolve to handle. So, protein isolate in particular can interfere with thyroid signaling in sensitive individuals. And when thyroid signaling slows, fat loss becomes an uphill battle, even if calories are low. On top of that, many plant-based proteins are combined with seed oils, emulsifiers, and flavor chemicals that disrupt gut bacteria. A damaged gut sends constant danger signals to the brain, which keeps your metabolism in protection mode. Protection mode means fat storage. This is the pattern you should start noticing now. Every protein on this list shares one thing in common. It creates stress or inflammation without you feeling it immediately. That's why people say, "But I feel fine." Yes, until the body reaches its limit. Now, there's one final protein that deserves special attention because it's often eaten daily, even multiple times a day, and it quietly accelerates aging and metabolic decline. And once you understand this last one, you'll never look at high-protein diets the same way again. The last protein is the one almost no one wants to question because it's deeply tied to comfort, culture, and convenience. Processed red meat proteins, sausages, deli meats, hot dogs, cured beef, salami, and packaged kebabs. These foods are advertised as high protein, but what they really are is protein damaged by chemicals. When meat is cured, smoked, or preserved with nitrates and nitrites, it creates compounds that trigger chronic low-grade inflammation. You don't feel it as pain. You feel it as slower digestion, stubborn fat, poor sleep, and rising blood pressure. Your body treats these proteins as a threat. To protect you, it releases insulin more aggressively, holds onto fat, and reduces metabolic flexibility. This is why people who eat processed meats regularly often say, "I don't eat much, but I keep gaining weight." It's not the calories, it's the signal the protein sends. Here's the part that most diets never explain. Your body doesn't just count protein grams, it asks 3 questions. Is this protein easy to digest? Does it come with nutrients that calm the nervous system? Does it help repair cells or stress them? If the answer to any of those is no, fat loss slows down automatically. Survival always comes before aesthetics. This is why extreme high-protein diets often backfire long-term. They overload the kidneys, increase cortisol, dry out connective tissue, and age the skin, all while fat loss plateaus. Now here's the reframe that changes everything. Protein is not bad. Stressed protein is bad. Your body thrives on proteins that are gently cooked, minimally processed, and naturally packaged with fat and micronutrients. Think slow-cooked meats, whole eggs, fermented dairy if tolerated, legumes prepared traditionally, and fish cooked at low heat. When protein feels safe to your body, your metabolism relaxes. When metabolism relaxes, fat loss begins. So before you add more protein shakes, more chicken breasts, or more lean foods, ask a better question. Is this protein helping my body feel safe or forcing it to defend itself? Because fat loss doesn't happen when you punish the body. It happens when the body finally stops fighting back. If there's one truth to remember from this entire video, it's this. Your body is not broken. It is protective. When you eat the wrong kinds of protein, overly processed, overheated, chemically altered, or stripped of their natural balance, your body doesn't say, "Great, let's burn fat." It says, "Something isn't right." Slow everything down, and so it does. It holds fat. It raises cortisol, it dulls digestion, it conserves energy. Not to punish you, but to keep you alive. This is why so many people feel stuck, even when they're doing everything right. More protein, fewer carbs. More restriction, more discipline. But the answer was never more force. The answer was better signals. When you remove these 6 harmful protein sources, you don't just change what you eat, you change how your body feels. Safer, calmer, less inflamed, less threatened. And when the body feels safe, it lets go. Fat loss becomes a side effect, not a battle. Energy returns, hunger normalizes, sleep improves. Cravings fade, so don't chase extremes. Don't fall for fear-based nutrition, and don't confuse high protein with healthy protein. Feed your body in a way that earns its trust again. Because once trust is restored, your metabolism does the rest quietly, naturally, and consistently.